Okay, very, very good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our La Liga special. This is myself and Gerry Armstrong. We're with you every 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about what's happening over here in Spain in La Liga and La Liga 2, La Liga Smart Bank, of course. Gerry, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, Richie. Thank you. Looking forward to, the big boys coming back into La Liga. You know, they haven't really started yet.
Definitely. Now, we spoke a few weeks ago, obviously, towards the end of the La Liga season, that Real Madrid obviously won in the end. Sevilla, of course, did well. They won Europa League in the end as well, which was good. Not such good news in the Champions League for our teams. But we're now into a new season. But there's a couple of things I really wanted to talk to you about before we get on to, first of all, last week's results and what we've got to look forward to this weekend. First of all, let's clear up the Messi situation at Barcelona, first of all. Was he ever going to go, Gerry?
100% he wanted to go, and he was going to go. He felt he was within his rights because of his contract. The problem was the contract stated that it was the 10th of June that he had to put in his request to leave the club. And obviously the Champions League was still going, so he said that when he put the request in August, it was only so many days after the season had ended, which in his opinion and his advisor's opinion was legally okay. But when Barcelona contested it and it was going to have to go to court, he didn't want to take Barcelona to court, and that's when he backed down. But he was adamant that he wanted to go, and there was definitely clubs interested. Juventus were interested in him 100%. Paris Saint-Germain were interested, but the front runners was obviously Manchester City and the Pep Guardiola and Chiqui Begiristain connection.
So it's been put to bed right now, and he's obviously back training. He's, he did all his tests before he could go back training with the first team squad. I saw him in action against Nastic. I think it was a friendly play the other day where they won by 3-1. A bit of a run out for him, but it's been put to bed now. But will it sort of rise again in the January transfer window? Will he go back in again and say he wants to leave? Do you think, or is this, now the thing that he's going to stay for the rest of his career?
It's an interesting one because, you know what, seeing the next 2-3 months of the season as it develops, if Barcelona's not doing well and Messi's not doing well, people will say his heart's not in it anymore. He really wanted to go, and that will come up. The press will obviously milk it, and they could well regret not letting him go. And obviously they were trying to charge a ridiculous fee. You know, the 700 million, it was never going to happen. Never. But, I've told him if he stays to the end of the season, they'll let him go on a free. But, Barcelona may regret not letting him go in the summer, but only time will tell. He can maybe help some of these younger players coming through. There's some great young players who need experience, and maybe can help them. You've got a very aging Barcelona side, Piqué, Busquets and co. They're not getting any younger, and Messi, and of course they're still not resolved with Suarez. Suarez hasn't really qualified for Italy yet because he has to do an exam.
Italian test, isn't he, or something?
Yeah, that's it. And he has to speak a bit of Italian. Yeah. And if he misses the deadline, because there's a deadline for the passport and everything else, and then there's the deadline for the Champions League, and if he misses that, he mightn't be of any use to them. So it's a really complicated one, and they've already told him at Barcelona that they don't need his services this year. So that's interesting as well.
There'd be three things that I'd look at with this Messi situation. One is, he's a family man. He's a very big family man. And I was sort of told that when he told his family that he was going to leave and move to a different club, the kids were up in arms, crying. They didn't want to move away from Barcelona. They loved their school. They loved their kids. I don't think his wife wanted to move away from Barcelona. That's number one. Number two is obviously the presidency is going to change. There's going to be a new president come in. I imagine the new president is going to, be offering him things left, right and centre to stay at the club. And number three, with the new president coming in, if it's the guy that I've been told it possibly could, he's actually said that he will get rid of Koeman and he'll bring Xavi back to be a manager. So there are quite, three sort of things there that you think to yourself, will he go?
It's crazy. And, if Xavi comes back as manager, Messi could well stay. You know, he could well stay longer and finish his career off. You know, and you're right, he is a family man, and it does have a huge effect when you move the family to a different country, and it's a different language maybe. You know, if he goes to France or he goes to Italy or he goes to England, you know, different language again. So, no, all of those are really important factors. The president is the key, though, for me, because he was the reason he wanted to leave the club. He wasn't happy with the way the president had run things, and you know that was certainly the biggest reason for me. He wasn't enjoying his football, and he felt that the team was aging, and a lot of the players are retiring. You know, you've looked at PK's retired from international football already, and I think Messi thought this is the time to make the move now and get maybe a year or two over in England and play for Man City under Pep Guardiola, where he had a lot of success. So those are the things were going through his mind. But no, those are great points, Richie, and I would agree with you 100%. If Xavi comes back, he may well stay.
Right, let's move on to the other side, or the other big club in Spain, Real Madrid, of course, champions of La Liga. But a lot of speculation, particularly today. I've been reading everywhere, hearing everywhere that Gareth Bale could be on his way to Tottenham, your old club, Gerry.
Yeah, well, I'm being told from people at the club and from obviously over at this end, the bookies have suspended betting on it. They think it's going to happen. They think it's a done deal. Now, the money he's on is colossal at Real Madrid. If they could do a deal where they can save themselves, he said he'll just sit out the rest of his contract. So it might be a question of getting him to go to Tottenham and Real Madrid continuing to pay part of his wages, maybe a big chunk of his wages. So, you know, that's the only way I can see the deal happening. But they've also been doing the deal with Reguilon, Sergio Reguilon, the left back, and that's nearly a done deal. I'm told the 28.5 million euros has been agreed, and he's going to join Tottenham as well. So there's quite a bit of movement at Real Madrid at the moment.
Yeah, now, let's go back to Bale for a second, because there's talk that, Real Madrid will pay some of his wages of 50%, I've sort of been told. 50% of, I think he's on about £500,000, about 600,000 euros a week.
Yeah.
Nice work if you can get it, of course. But, you know, if he goes into that Tottenham dressing room, you know, he's, as we've seen on, if you're watching the documentary, you know, they've got a lot of characters in there, a lot of boys that have been there a few years now. He will go in probably on higher money than Kane, definitely on higher money than... If he's on higher money than Kane, he's on higher money than everybody else. So how will that upset the dressing room? How will that sort of... You know, I don't know if it was like this in your day. You know, what was it like for a big money player to come in, all of a sudden he's on more money than me, and, you know, and I've been at the club this many years, and, you know, he hasn't played properly for 2 years, and all these things could come up, couldn't they?
Yeah, totally. Well, the big money at Tottenham when I was there was £600 or £700 a week. That's the sort of money we were earning, you know. And I was on £200 or £300, and I thought I was very fortunate. So players are different now, and their agents are different. They'll be looking for the best deal for themselves. It could cause a problem, but that's down to Jose Mourinho. He's a really strong-minded manager, and he's good at that type of thing. So I'm hoping that he can keep it together. Tottenham didn't play particularly badly at the weekend against Everton. I watched the game. Everton scored the only goal, but Tottenham missed 2 or 3 good chances. You know, Harry Kane had a chance, Son Min had a chance. You know, they should have scored. Dele Alli had the best chance. He should have scored. He was substituted. So, you know, I think there's a few problems still to be ironed out in that one. But no, it could be a good deal. It could be a good deal. At least Gareth Bale will be playing, and I still think he's a world-class player. Even though he hasn't played that much football recently.
Yeah, I mean, Mourinho's come out and said that, you know, he did speak to the chairman before he left Real Madrid. He spoke to the chairman about getting Bale. So he's obviously sort of started to put the old irons out into the fire and say, yeah, he's a player I definitely want. He's a player I want playing for me. I think he's taking credit for the fact that Madrid eventually bought him, which is Mourinho all over, isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. But also, there'll also be talk of Dele Alli maybe going in as a sort of a makeshift or a make weight in the deal as well, which I would find really strange. You know, Ali going the other way. I mean, probably for his career it would be great, but for Tottenham, I don't think that's a deal, is it?
I'm not sure, but Dele Alli hasn't played that well for me in the last 12 months. He's been very hot and cold. So he is a Spanish type player, though. You know, the technique, the skill. You know, he would probably be better suited playing in somewhere like Real Madrid. But would he get enough game time? You know, the Real Madrid team and the squad is huge. So that that's debatable whether he does go the other way. I'm not sure about that.
All right, well, that's obviously things to come. So let's have a little recap of what happened last weekend in La Liga. Now, the big boys, as we know, weren't playing because they were tied up in Champions League and Europa League. So that gave everybody else a chance. And I think probably team of the weekend you'd have to say would be Valencia, wouldn't it? What a great win for them.
4-2, great. And that's after selling Rodrigo as well. Look, they're always a good side. And Valencia, I think, have underachieved for many, many years. And they're probably under pressure as well because look at what Sevilla did. Sevilla under Lopetegui had a great season, qualified for the Europa League and then went through. And I covered them in every game, including the final. And Richie, they were magnificent against Milan. They were so good. It was untrue. I thought Lukaku was a monster and he got the penalty early on, but Lopetegui had them focused and they came back and they pressed really, really well. Their pressing was good and he got a lot of credibility out of it. A lot of people, ex-footballers that I was working with at Virgin Media were so impressed by the performance and never really give Sevilla a chance. So, credit to them. So Valencia are under pressure to try and do what Sevilla have done. And they've started off really well. 4-2 is a great start to the season. Maxi Gomez on the score sheet. They did good. And they're under pressure now to keep that going, to keep the momentum going. But listen, it only sort of when the big boys come in, when Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, obviously Sevilla and Real Madrid start playing, those are the teams that you've got to try and split. I think Sevilla's got a squad that could cause a few problems this year. And if Barcelona don't start really well, they could split the top three.
I'd agree. I saw Sevilla play in the flesh at Real Mallorca, actually, and you're right. I think they beat us 2-0 on the day, and it could have been more. They were quite a young side as well, Sevilla.
Yeah.
They've got some great players in there. And you're right, Lopetegui, after his problems, the national side and at Real Madrid has sort of brought himself back into the frame, isn't he, of possibly other bigger jobs, maybe if they do come up. It's good to see Granada continuing their form of last year.
Yeah.
They got a win last weekend. They beat Granada 2-0. They beat Bilbao, actually.
That was a great result.
Yeah, maybe people would look at Granada and think, well, they are a possibility of going down this year, but with carrying on their form from last year, looks great.
Yes, no, I mean that's good. Granada are a decent outfit, and you hope that they continue that good form. It's just, again, for me, there's always going to be the top 3 or 4, and it's still the same top 3 or 4. I would love to see Valencia being a force this season. I would love to see Sevilla continuing the good work they did last year and putting pressure on Atletico Madrid, Barcelona and Real Madrid, because it makes it a more interesting league for me.
Of the 3 teams that went up then, Gerry, this year would be, we had Cadiz, Huesca, and who was the other one that went up? Cadiz, Huesca, and it's gone out of my head now. But anyway, Cadiz and Huesca, first of all, while I think about the other team that went up. Who do you think is going to survive? I mean, we always pretty much say the things that go up have a very, very difficult chance of sort of going back down again. What would you say about those? Elche, sorry, was the other one. They were I think they won the playoff last week, didn't they? That's why I probably skipped my mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's always difficult when you, as we know from Mallorca's experience, when you come up and to actually try and establish yourself. If you have a squad that's strong enough to compete in top flight football in La Liga, then you can do well. But these are smaller clubs, and it's going to be difficult for them, And I actually thought at one stage, 6 weeks before the end of the season, that Espanyol were going to save themselves, and in their first result back was great when they actually won, but they never kept the momentum going. So you don't know what goes through players' minds, but I would say it's going to be difficult for all 3, and I can't really favour any of them to step. They really have a difficult season, but somebody's going to have to push the boat out if they can get some finance in and sign the right players. As you know, you can't sign 3rd division players to play in the top flight of football.
No, I agree. Well, Huesca started off okay, got a 1-1 draw at Villarreal. Villarreal, obviously, with Emery in there as well. He made a couple of signings. He took a couple of players from Valencia, actually, Emery. So that was a good start for Huesca, although Cadiz lost at home to Osasuna by 2-0. So, yeah, listen, it's first game. You know, nobody really wants to lose their first game, but I don't think we should take too much out of what happens at the beginning of the season. We probably need to give it at least 5 games, I think.
You can't take too much out of the beginning of the season because Real Madrid, who were the league leaders, went to Mallorca and lost to Mallorca last year. And we thought, wow, we've cracked it, haven't we?
You're right.
But
You're right.
It didn't go too well after that. We're just so inconsistent. But you've got to be consistent in this league, and you have to have a squad. And you need good luck as well in terms of injuries. You know, I look at the injuries that Real Madrid had last year, but the squad was so strong and extensive that they were able to overcome all of that. You know, Marco Asensio being out for most of the season and then coming back at the end of the season, you know, because of the COVID, he came back into the frame, and they didn't really miss him because they have such a strong squad. That's the key.
So this coming weekend, big boys are back this weekend. We've got Real Madrid away at Sociedad. Sociedad surprisingly took on David Silva. That was a sort of a left field move, wasn't it?
He's a quality player. I mean, he may only do half an hour in a game or 45 minutes, but because he's such a talented player, he's got such a sweet left foot. You know, that sort of an experience could be of help. You know, you look at Joaquin at Real Betis and what he did when he went back to Real Betis at his age, and it still has an influence. So yes, it's an interesting one, but it's a good one. I think Celta Vigo against Valencia is a cracking game as well. That's Saturday night. And the other one on Saturday night is Villarreal against Eibar, which is another interesting one. They've just started off with a draw. But Real Madrid don't start until the Sunday. And they're away to Real Sociedad. I think that's a tough game.
Yeah.
And it'll be a good test for the champions to see how strong they are and how focused they are. But their first 2 league games, Richie, interestingly, are both away. The following week, they're away to Real Betis.
Yeah, I noticed here actually. I'm just looking at the fixtures, and I noticed that for some reason we've got the Levante Atletico match and the Sevilla Elche match and the Atletico Barcelona match hasn't been given kickoff times yet. I don't know if these games are being moved or anything. I don't know any reason why that is, but at the moment they're not being given kickoff times. So I don't know the reason for that. Do you?
No, I don't. I was going to ask you the same question because when I looked at it, it actually put on a P, which is postponed.
Yeah, no, me too, and which it looks like it does, which I can probably understand. You know, Barcelona because of the Champions League. But Real Madrid are playing, so I don't know. Maybe it's because of games that have been previously cancelled the week before. They're trying to sort of even it all up. I really don't know, but this weekend, we've got Getafe against Osasuna. That's Friday at 9:00.
Yes.
Villarreal against Eibar at 4:00 on Saturday. 9:00 on Saturday is Celta against Valencia. Huesca against Cadiz, 2 teams that came up. They are kicking off a Sunday at 4:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Sunday at 6:30 is Granada Alaves.
Granada Alaves, that's a decent game as well. Granada had a good start. But the big one for me still, the Real Sociedad against Real Madrid. That'll be a very good game.
Which is the 9:00 kickoff. And then Monday, Betis against Valladolid. Interestingly enough, actually, Gerry, I've noticed that every single one of those kickoff times is different. There's not one game that's kicking off at the same time. I take it this is all TV stuff, is it?
It is, because you're not going to get audiences now, and this is the key for football, and not just football, all sports. I mean, I'll tell you now, in Belfast, we had notification yesterday that the Ice Hockey League is due to start on the 4th or 5th of December, and Belfast Giants are one of the best ice hockey leagues in the UK. They've won the championship loads of time in the Cups, so they're one of the big teams, and it's been cancelled indefinitely. So really? That tells you there's going to be no ice hockey in December, January. So things like that. I've heard of sort of golf tournaments and tennis tournaments that have been cancelled in October. But now this is December, and it's an indoor event, which needs, obviously, people to come in. So how are they going to resolve it? I know they're trying things out at the moment to see getting like 500 fans to go in and watch a game, or 1,000 fans to go in and watch a game. And they're studying it, and they're going to monitor it and see if they can increase that and improve on it without risk to anyone. But it's it's a toss of a coin. It's really hit and miss at the moment. Nobody knows what's going to be happening in a week or 2 weeks' time. So you have to focus then on the one that you can count on, and that's concrete. You can still have the cameras there, and you can still put it back to people in their homes. That could be the way forward.
Yeah, I agree. And I was at Mallorca last week, actually reviewing my season ticket, and I did ask the question, do we know when we're going to be allowed back in? And the girl told me, no, we don't know yet. As soon as we know, obviously, we will let you know. It was interesting, actually, over here in Mallorca. There was a game between UD Poblense and Atletico Baleares. And that's like a local derby. It was at the beginning of the season game. It was like a friendly, but it was in Spain. They have cup games, don't they? They two teams play each other like an invitational event that they do. Barcelona have it, and Real Mallorca have it, although Real Mallorca was cancelled this year. But UD played Atletico Baleares, both in the same group league of Segunda B this season, and they let 1,000 fans into that game.
Really?
Socially distanced, of course, but they were allowed in, and I've been told it was all very, very well organised. But I think it was nice to see, and I hope that is the situation going forward. Segunda B and Tercera Division over here in Spain, they start on the 18th of October, so there's still a bit of time to go yet before we actually get that moving. Let's move on to Segunda Smart Bank, Gerry. We started that last week as well. And not such good news for our team, the team we used to play for, Real Mallorca.
Yeah, Mallorca. I mean, I watched parts of the game and highlights, and I saw the stats on the game. Mallorca had the majority of possession. They had chances, but we didn't score. And as you know, it's probably similar to the Spurs game that I watched as well. Spurs had lots of chances and didn't take them. Everton did, and they ended up losing 1-0, and that's what happened to Mallorca against Rayo Vallecano. I was expecting to get at least a draw out of that and get started. But the next game for Mallorca now is not an easy one. It's away to Espanyol, who are probably one of the favourites to come back up again. So it's not going to be easy. And I don't want Mallorca starting the season with too many defeats, because confidence and heads go down, and it's really difficult to recover when you've had a bad start.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, perfect for Espanyol, really, to be honest with you. Starting the season, 2 home games, of course. They won at the weekend. They won 3-0. Albacete was the team they beat 3-0 at the weekend. So, and as you say, that it's our old boss, Vicente Moreno, who's in charge of Espanyol. We know they've got money. It's a big club. It's the second, obviously second behind Barcelona, but everybody's going to be behind Barcelona. But they're in the city of Barcelona, for people that don't know Espanyol. Have a very good support. A lot of fans go and watch them, but they've obviously had payments going through for getting relegated from the first division, and I think they're most people's favourite to go back up again. So a 3-0 win against Albacete was a great result. Guillaume
Balaguer has told me reliably that they're going to come back up again. So he thinks that they've got the squad and the players and our old manager as well. And we've got a new manager in Javi Garcia. So, we have a new manager who's trying to find out a lot about the players in his team. You were telling me some of the results, the pre-season results were pretty good. They won. They lost to Levante, the La Liga team, in their first game. They lost that 2-1, but then they won the next 3 games, all against opposition in the Spanish second division, and won by with no goals conceded. So I thought to myself, well, hang on a minute, this is looking all right. We're not conceding goals, then that's good. I'm not quite sure about the decision to leave Budimir on the bench. He was our top goal scorer last season. He hasn't obviously been training because he's been away on international duty. There is talk that he could be going to Valladolid. I've been told could be a destination for him, be transferred. But if he's your top goal scorer, you should be sticking him on for the beginning, shouldn't you? Absolutely. Well, look, it's all about scoring goals. If you want to win games, you got to score goals. Keeping a clean sheet's good, but it's not the be-all and end-all. If you want to go up, you've got to score goals. And I think Mallorca were struggling. We were the worst goal scorers in La Liga last year. So that's one of the...
And conceded the most.
Well, that's the other contributing factor. If you score the least and you concede the most, you're definitely going to go down.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, the other choice that he made in midfield, Salva Sevilla wasn't playing, got great experience, Salva Sevilla. I think I'm right in saying that he's an ex-Espanyol player, Salva Sevilla. So
he was.
Yeah, he's definitely going to want to go back and be starting on this weekend. You know what I mean? Listen, I think there's a lot of love between the players and the ex-manager. It didn't seem to be a falling out as far as I'm aware. But if we've started with a loss, we've got to go out there and at least, I think, not lose again. A draw would be a great result. A win would
take a draw now.
Me too. A win would be win would be fantastic. But let's see. You know, it's been a difficult start. We need to sort of get moving on that. And as I say, you know, to lose 2 games at the beginning of the season. Blimey, pressure's on your manager before you even started, isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. So once again, it's a bit early to start talking about who's going to sort of do well. I mean, Espanyol is everybody's favourite.
They're the favourites, yeah.
I think a lot of people are looking at the teams that came down from the First Division last year as well, with obviously us and who's the other one? Leganés, I think, was the other one that came down with us. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it and have a good look through it as we go. I think we're done, young Gerry. Big thanks for giving up your time for us today. What are you up to? What are you commentating?
I am next week. I've got the qualification Champions League. Krasnodar from Russia is my team. I thought they were going to play Benfica, but Benfica lost last night to PAOK Salonika. So that's my game next Tuesday. So I'm going to do both legs, and that will take it through to the proper stages where the big boys start to come in.
So who was the first team again? What was the first? Russian?
Krasnodar. They are a Russian team. I think they must have won the cup because they're not one of the top 4 or 5, but Krasnodar have qualified for the Champions League.
So you've got to do a bit of homework on names, I think, there, Gerry. If you've got the Russia and Greek names are not going to be easy to pronounce or even talk about, I think.
Yeah. There'll be a few offs at the end of the names for sure.
And what news of any more Spanish commentary? Anything else coming up your way?
Nothing much on the Spanish side of it. I usually do the Spanish teams. As I said, I did Sevilla in the Europa League, qualifying right through to the quarters, the semis and the final. And it was great, you know, telling people about, you know, the guys in the Spanish lineup. You know, most of them are big football fans. The likes of, you'll know one of them, Niall Quinn. Niall Quinn he thought Inter Milan were going to run away with it. He thought Manchester United were going to be in there. You know, nobody gives Sevilla a chance. But because I know that Lopetegui is a good coach and he was trying to rebuild his career and they had a good squad of players, you know, they really did play some good football. Tactically, I thought he was different class. I thought he did himself a lot of credit, but the players were good, and that was translating the on the wall that we believed that, you know, they actually believed that they were the best and they could go on and win it, you know. So there was lots of good fun along the way. But I do cover those games. I covered Barcelona when they lost to Bayern Munich, which was a big surprise for me. I couldn't see them losing that many. Did fancy Bayern Munich, thought they were the best team in the competition, and I covered those games. And I'll cover the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona and Atletico Madrid next year when we start the Champions League knockout properly. But I'm still covering the international games. I saw some fantastic games. Spain were a very fortunate team against the Germans. The Germans went 1-0 up and should have probably went 2 or 3-0 up. But listen, David De Gea made several brilliant saves.
He did. I saw the game.
You know, man of the match for me. I said, listen, he's got some stick at Manchester United, but David De Gea was top man. He played brilliantly. And Spain got their late equaliser and took a result out of that, which I didn't really see coming. I covered that one. Have to say the 2 teams that impressed me in the Nations League, I covered nearly all of the nations. Portugal were unbelievably good without Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't play, and they were so good it was untrue. The players were brilliant, and they have a good system. Technically, they were better than anybody, and they were a good outfit. And the other one that impressed me really well was the Italians. The Italians beat Holland in Holland, and I tell you, they were brilliant. Pressing was good and created good chances. They're a fantastic counter-attacking team, and Mancini's got a good team. Those are the 2 teams that impressed me in the Nations League.
So listen, we're going to finish on 3 questions. Number 1, who's going to win La Liga?
Still the strongest squad for me is Real Madrid. So I think it's going to be Real Madrid, but I hope Sevilla and co push them all the way. Who's
going to win La Liga 2?
I'm going to go for Espanyol because they've got more money than Mallorca, but I'm still going to say Mallorca to finish runners-up.
Oh, that'll do. And lastly, because it's current, is Bale going to Tottenham?
Yes, I think I'm gut feeling, and I've had a couple of wee whispers from inside the club, let's say, and everybody's telling me that it's going the right way and it's nearly a done deal. But Reguilón is definitely a done deal, but Bale, I am told, is definitely going to go to Tottenham.
Brilliant. Gerry, listen, thanks for getting out your time. Appreciate it. Take care. We'll speak in a couple of weeks.